The Boys wrapped up its fourth season last week, and of course I watched it, so let's review. So Billy Butcher and the rest of the boys continue their quest to take out Homelander and the rest of his superhero followers. Meanwhile, Billy, he's trying to rekindle his relationship with Ryan. Homelander continues to get control of the people through all his political connections. And there's a whole lot of other side plots happening this season that I will get to in a little bit. Now, for context, I love the show The Boys as a whole. I think it's one of the best pieces of superhero content we've gotten in a long time. I love that first season. The second and third season, I like elements about it, but of course, there are elements about it that just didn't work. But here with season 4, I think this is probably my favorite season since the first season. Because to me, this fourth season, it is the calm before the storm. It's the second to last season, which they announced the fifth season is going to be the final season. So to me, this whole season basically felt like it was the Empire Strikes Back of the boys. And the Empire Strikes Back is my favorite Star Wars movie. And I've always liked, anything, TV shows, movies that basically end on a dark note because it makes the hero's eventual victory in the next movie or season worth it. And with all that everybody went through this season, it ends on a dour note, but it's going to make their eventual victory in the fifth and final season worth it. Plus, the season also has the benefit of following up with Gen V, which is a spinoff of The Boys. We do get to see a couple of characters from that show show up in this season. But of course, what I enjoy most about this season are all the different characters and their arcs. Some characters I was rooting for because of their redemption, and some characters I was rooting against because they are just either getting worse or they are just downright horrible people. Now, where we left off with Billy Butcher in the last season, he is dying. He's pretty much took Temp V, and now he has some hive mind going on, and it split his personalities. There's this evil personality, and then there's his personality, and both of those personalities are personified in someone he knew from his past, and of course his dead ex-wife. And he's rushed, and of course, like I said earlier, he's trying to rekindle his relationship with Ryan and trying to put him on the wrong path instead of going down Homelander, in which Homelander is the biological dad of Ryan. In Homelander, he's really trying to take the righteous path, but then we all know from the finale that just didn't happen, and so he gives into his horrible urges, and Jeffrey D. Morgan plays the evil side of Billy Butcher, and he's kind of have a Fight Club split personality type thing. And then once things go horribly wrong during the final season, he gives in, and Billy Butcher, he just becomes this super powered being that has tentacle monsters. But I did like Jeffrey D. Morgan this season. He was basically a nice mirror to Billy Butcher and the horrible person Billy Butcher could become. But that finale had me tense with everything going on with Ryan because, Billy Butcher, he's trying to basically keep him away from Homelander. And then, of course, his fake auntie screwed everything up. And so now Ryan, we don't know what's going to happen with him, which was a huge cliffhanger because he found out what really happened to his mom. He found out that he's basically a product of grape, and that everything Billy Butcher and everybody working with him is trying to do is to take out Homelander. And now Ryan, he's going to have to make a choice. Either side with his daddy or side with Billy Butcher. And Anthony Starr continues to show why Homelander is one of the... I'm not saying I endorse his character, but he is a well-written character, and Anthony Starr pretty much brings his character to life. Like, Homelander, he's just a downright horrible superhero. He just wants control. He wants to be loved by any means necessary, even if he has to hurt people. Now, Huey was my favorite character this season, actually, mainly because he had an arc that I could get behind. Of course, everything that happened with his dad. His dad had a heart attack, and then his mom came back and shot his dad up with Temp V or Compound V, whichever one it was. But anyways, his dad got powers, and it was scary with his powers because he basically has all the same powers as Shadowcat. He can phase through walls, and then he ended up phasing through a person, and then he stopped phasing, and that person basically just dies and blood splattered everywhere. Like, that is a realistic take on having that superpower. But what I like most about that episode is that his father pretty much explained to him the reason he didn't put Huey as his next of kin or power of attorney is because Huey has a tendency of holding on to things, and so he wasn't sure that Huey was going to make the right call and basically letting his dad die, and which is something Huey had to make, and that was just downright heartbreaking. Now, I do have thoughts about Erin Moriarty getting plastic surgery and changed up her face, and all I got to say is I don't give a shit. All right. She's still a good actress, and she still look good even with the plastic surgery. So let her do what she do. But as for her as Starlight this season, I kind of liked her arc too, in which she's kind of have the Spider-Man 2 situation where she's losing her powers, she's having performance issues, and she's trying to figure out who she is when she's not part of the Seven. We also get to see Erin Moriarty go outside of her element when she has to basically play two different versions of herself because we have that one shapeshifter who takes on the persona of Annie, and so now Erin Moriarty she has to play her but a different version. And I thought, okay, this is some solid acting from her. Now, shout out to Laz Alonso because I do notice he is losing weight from how much he weighed in the last season. And I don't know if he's doing that for a movie role that he's about to take on or he did that for character reasons. But either way, shout out to him. And I like where they took Mother's Milk because with Billy Butcher just being MIA and just you don't know what he's doing, he's predictable. And so he has to basically step up and be the leader of the boys. And he really did some cool things this season. But I do wish that I wish the writers would just stop putting him in situations where he's either getting squirted on or it's something involving a dick. It's just, come on. Of all the characters y'all doing this to, why y'all keep doing that to him? Then Frenchie and Kamiko, I like what they did with those characters. And, well, for one, I didn't know that Frenchie was bisexual, and not that that's a problem, but I thought it was cool that they explored that. And then Kamiko, shout out to her. She spoke her first word at the end of the season, and the relationship between her and Frenchie, it finally blossomed into something more. Now, A Train, I thought he had the best character development because it was definitely a 180 from where he started at the beginning of the show. And now here he is now, and he's finally learning what it means to be a real hero. And we see that with that one moment where he took MM to the hospital, and that kid sees him, and the two of them they just smiled, and you can tell that made A Train feel good. But the Deep and Black Noir, I mean, they were basically kind of the red shirts this season. They really didn't do much with them, so they were probably my least favorite parts of this season. But it was cool seeing them and everything between the Deep and that lobster crush he had. I could give two fucks less. Ashley is another one that had a bit of a redemption, and once she realized that she's on the list of people to get killed at Vought, and she took the shot of Compound V, Temp V, whatever it was, and she started to change it. We don't know what she changed into, but I'm curious to see what happens to her the next season. But the real MVP in terms of redemption is Victoria Newman because she came around in the end. She realized she doesn't want to work with Homelander, but she still paid the ultimate price. She got cut in half by Billy Butcher, but rest in peace, Victoria Newman. But you still got Giancarlo Esposito, who is her dad on this show, and he got out of jail and she broke her out, and so he's just out in the open. And I'm curious to see what he's gonna do next season once he realized what happened to his daughter. And Giancarlo Esposito, I'm never gonna deny getting this man work because he truly is a great actor. We also got characters that popped up from Gen V, particularly at that convention where they announced all the different phases for different Vault projects coming up, which was kind of a parody of Marvel, which is funny in itself. But that bitch that can telepath people, yeah, fuck her. Overall, I thought this was a solid season. Is it the best? No, but it's still, in my opinion, the best season since the first, and it was definitely the calm before the storm. 2026 cannot get here fast enough, which is when we're going to get the final season, and I'm also curious to see what they're going to do with Gen V Season 2, especially with the tragic passing of, all due respect, what's his name? I really enjoyed this season, and if you're a Trump supporter, MAGA follower, conservative, whatever, if you really got offended by this show because you just now realized the show is making fun of you, I don't know what to tell you. The Boys season 4 easily gets the hard eyes emoji.